welcome back. I just wanted to film something quickly whilst I'm on the go. Apologies in advance for some of the wind noise that you might hear throughout this video, but we do have quite a nice background. But anyway, what I want to talk about here is failure. Now, failure is something that we see as a massive negative, but I have to say, I am actually a massive failure in quite a lot of regards, especially when it comes to business. I've failed so many times, and I'm probably going to continue to fail more than most people ever do. Statistically speaking, based on trial and error, I'm a bigger failure than most people can ever dream to be. But I don't say that with any sort of negative tone, I really do not. Actually, I think it is a massive win and a positive if you think about it. The word failure is seen as something bad. It's seen as something that we should kind of look down upon and aspire not to be. If you're a failure, it's something that's really not good in life. But think about it for what it is. The reason why I'm a failure is because I continue to do things and I continue to try new ideas. Every single time I try, I risk the possibility of succeeding, but I also risk the possibility of failure. So what happens when you fail? Most people then make that into more than what it actually is. They see that as a state that they're in, or a degree of where they are, whereas in actuality, it's just a single event. If you fail once, it's nothing to do with who you are as a person. And I'd say if you're not failing, you're not really trying hard enough. So every single time that I fail, I don't have a problem with it. And this is what I'm trying to kind of tell you guys. This video may have seemed like it had a negative title with some bad connotations. It does not. I just want to remind you guys that no matter where you're heading in life, failure is not a bad thing. Failure is something that we should embrace. To do better than most people, you have to try harder than most people. And it really only takes one or two good ideas to take you from that base level to that really high tier level in whatever you're trying to achieve. You're not going to get there probably overnight, and you're probably not going to get there in your first week or so. So I guess what I'm trying to say here is, you must embrace the struggle of failure if you want to succeed in life. And it is something that is quite difficult to do. So how do you go about doing this? I think the first thing that you must do is acknowledge that failure isn't really a thing at all. There's not succeeding, and there's not getting the results that you'd like. But this is not necessarily failure. For every business that I've not won on in the past, I've learnt something, and knowledge is invaluable. Like, the knowledge that I've gained is something which I could probably not do without with. And if I look at what I've done since, some of the stuff that I've been able to achieve would not have been able to be done so easily if I hadn't have failed a couple of times before, because I got that learning experience. So I think that's one of the most important things that you can do, is to acknowledge that it is something that can be embraced, and whilst it's something that you should strive not to be, if you are failing, it shows that you're experimenting. If you're experimenting, you're closer on the path to most people. Going on from that, I think one of the next best things that you can do is, like I said earlier, acknowledge that it is not a personality type. Some people say, oh, I'm a failure, or I'm unlucky. There's no such thing as I'm a failure. I know it's kind of how I enter the video, but I as a person am not a failure. I'm an experimenter, and people who experiment with things are going to fail. Like in science, you don't often get the right formulas, or in maths, you don't get the right formulas the first time that you try. It's trial and error. In coding, it's the same. You don't normally do it first time. So people must understand that this is just part of figuring out the game. And another thing that I say people should embrace is the fact that failure, again, is crucial and fundamental and instrumental to building a basis for, winning. For instance, I would much rather be a failure who's failed 50 times and made it big on the last time than be somebody who's got lucky the first time. Because the knowledge and the experience that will have been gained along the way is so much better, and it's so much more transferable. So sometimes it's actually better to have that hardship, but I think the most important thing you can do is A, not give up, and B, acknowledge what you've learned. Like, if it helps you, every single time you fail at an idea, write down what you learned. Don't think about what you've lost or what you've failed to achieve, because this is easily done. Everybody does this anyway. No matter how much we like to pretend otherwise, you will obviously know what you didn't do. But think about what you did do, and how that's helped you, and how that's actually driven you closer to the goal. Even if you didn't achieve it this time, how's it helped you to win around to that next time? That's what you must look to. So I guess what I'm trying to say here is, understand that there's no such thing as I'm a failure or I'm an unlucky person. There's a case of the people who try and the people who don't. If you try once and fail, you failed. If you try 100 times and you fail a couple of times, you got a much higher probability of success. I said it in one of our previous videos, the concept of luck. Oh, you're so lucky to do this. It's like they don't see what goes behind that. You might see one successful business, one successful trial at something, but how many of the failures do you see? There's probably more than what you actually expected. There's probably more that went into that person's striving for success than you could even imagine. So with that being said, it's about understanding that and being grateful for what you've learned, noting what you've learned and understanding that this will help you when you eventually do crack the code. The person who got there first time won't necessarily understand how to deal with this problem or that problem, whereas you saw that the first time. You might not have reaped the rewards from it, but you saw the problems and you can go on to learn from that. But that's it for this short video. I wanted to make something whilst I was quickly out here enjoying my weekend in the sunshine. I'm on the bike at the moment, taking it for a ride, something which I like to do to sort of, get out there into nature. And this is just a beautiful spot that I thought I'd sit on for a minute, have a break, as I have gone quite a long way today, and I thought I'd film this little episode for you. So thank you, and I hope to see you again.